Hey guys, hopefully the recording's working well because this is one of the first times I'm doing like a direct recording from Substack. That's a pretty interesting option. I think it's also a lot more natural because you don't really get to edit anything or cut out anything. So it's all like a one smooth flow. Let's see how that turns out. So, yeah, guys, as you can see with the headline, so this is something like I kind of feel I don't really understand why people don't do this more often, like especially in this part. Like when you go out and tell people that I strongly believe in this political ideology or that political ideology or communism, capitalism, Hindutva, whatever, right? If you are going out and firmly making that statement, you should have some kind of idea about where you want that ideology to take your society or your country or community or whatever, right? You can't have it completely blank that okay, we'll do this, three four policies, that's it, that's my ideology. I have no clue what's going to happen after that. That doesn't make any sense to me. And this is something you'll notice a lot. This lack of purpose, lack of understanding of what the objective is, what are we actually even trying to achieve. You see this in all political factions in India, like left wing, right wing, Hindutva, communists, Islamists, everyone. Islamists maybe not that much, to be honest. Yeah, I think at least to some extent they've got that thing covered. I think, yeah, it's back to 12th 13th century, I think, probably earlier. Yeah, I think seventh century. So yeah, guys, and this realization really struck me once, I tried to kind of wrap my head around, like, okay, so if the right wing says that this is our number one goal, this is our number one aim, that we want a Hindu Rashtra, right? Now, obviously, now that doesn't mean that you've stated your objective. You just made one, assertion that okay, this is what is going to happen once we come to power. Some time after that, like 5, 10, 15 years, whatever, we keep voting for us for 3, 4 terms, and then we'll make this thing happen, right? But then you ask any one of them, the intellectuals, the politicians, the leaders, the thinkers, the Twitter influencers, ask any one of them, what is Hindu Rashtra, what does it mean, like, you know is it just the 3 4 things in your manifesto, like one temple, one or two articles will remove from the constitution, Modi ji becomes prime minister for life, India gets renamed to Bharat, and that is Hindu Rashtra? Is that it? And that doesn't make any, like, obviously that's an exaggeration, but yeah, you'll get confused answers like that, right? No one really knows what that grand objective is. It's just some kind of a symbolic phrase or term which is used, right, to unite people under one banner, Hindu Rashtra. Okay, so you believe in Hindu Rashtra, okay, you believe in Hindu Rashtra, you believe in Hindu Rashtra, okay, we'll all walk together and vote for Kamal or whichever party is in vogue in that area in those days, right? But that doesn't do anything because, first of all, again, like Indian politicians obviously most of the time they aren't really going to follow through. But even if, let's say, they wanted to follow through, how are you going to hold them accountable? You've not discussed, you've not asked them, what is this Hindu Rashtra? No one is talking about it, no one is debating it, no one is discussing it. What exactly is going to be the point when we say, okay, we were, before this point we were not a Hindu Rashtra, and after this point now we have become a proper 100% Hindu Rashtra? No one knows that, right? So with mainstream Hindutva, even, I guess, I don't want to unnecessarily drag previous thinkers and philosophers into this, but in general, the followers of Savarkar and the Sang's ideology as a whole, they don't really answer these questions well, right? Like, when do we get there? Like, what metrics are we going to use to judge if we have reached that stage where we have achieved this thing called Hindu Rashtra? No one knows, right? Similarly with the left, again, as a simpler example, you might, they'll say we'll establish a socialist state or a socialist welfare state or whatever, something like that, right? You specifically ask them, they'll have a little bit of a better idea, I guess, from the right wing. The right wing generally is not made up of thinking type of people. Unfortunately, that's a fact. I mean, I don't want to say it, but sadly, mainstream right wingers don't really like to waste their time in these petty, worthless intellectual debates. But yeah, the socialists will say, yeah, it'll be a socialist republic. You don't worry, everything will be taken care of. You'll get a house, and you'll get food to eat, and even drinks and stuff, and it'll all be like almost like heaven. Best sort of society you can imagine. And then eventually, obviously, it doesn't really turn out like that, because there are, again, not really any proper specifications, right? There's a better idea, a better framework of what they're trying to do, but again, no one really knows what specifications are being aimed at. Is it even practical? Is it possible? Where will the money come from? No one really goes too much into that, right? Especially in countries like ours, no one really has time to think so much. Everyone's so busy with chanting Modi Chalisa, or maybe Kejriwal Chalisa these days. I don't know, right? All that being said, let's come back to what we said initially, right? We're talking about purpose. Every day, okay, I share some memes, write some tweets, trigger some people, provoke a reaction. Many of you guys do that as well. It's fun, it's nice, it's nice to point out and tell powerful people, yeah, no, you messed up here, you didn't do this thing right, you are incompetent, and yeah, you guys deserve to be thrown out of power. It's nice because you feel that at least in some way you're contributing. You're at least pointing out things which are wrong, even though you may not yourself have capabilities to fix all of those issues. You can at least say that, okay, this thing is wrong, this thing is wrong, this thing is wrong. And once there's enough pressure, once enough people know, okay, all these things are going wrong, then when that pressure builds up, eventually, let's say there's an election, and then those people get thrown out, or there is some activism, or the people in power themselves realize, okay, we actually messed up here, we need to fix this, right? So something or the other might happen. Doesn't necessarily always happen, mostly it doesn't happen actually, but sometimes you might make a difference, right? But are we really just like, are we trying to be activists? Are we trying to just have fun here? Are we just trying to make the edgiest, nastiest, most provocative memes, and hopefully not go to jail for that? Is that like the end goal, the end purpose? I mean, like many of you might be from Twitter, Telegram, Reddit, all these places. Like you've seen the content, right? Like dissident right wing, alt right, whatever you want to call it, black pillars, trads, even raitas and all. So what is everyone really trying to do, right? Is there like some sort of ideological point which each faction wants to reach, right? Like, I guess raitas do, in this sense, they do have a better idea comparatively to these factions, but the other factions are just opposing everything they are doing, right? The people in power, they don't have a real vision, but at least they kind of do know, okay, yeah, next year we'll have this UCC, next year, next year ये policy ले आएंगे, थोड़ा और लोगों को polarize करेंगे, and hopefully we'll grab power next time as well, right? And make some decent money. Well, that is at least some sort of plan. So, but what are we doing here? We're just making memes. We're having fun. But like, what does that achieve? How does that improve my life? How does that improve your life? Your future generations' lives? I mean, I know many of you are pretty young. Don't think that far. I mean, I don't think that far usually. But it is something worth contemplating, right? Is it really worth it if you get 100, 200 retweets on your meme, or some edgy tweet or something like that on Telegram or wherever, right? And then nothing really happens, nothing really changes. That same Modi stays in power for what, this term, one more term, whatever, and then another old geezer comes. He also has more or less the same policies. Then more seemingly cutter guy comes, and he also mostly does the same thing, and eventually nothing really changes, right? I don't really think that's inherently what we want. People are coming here to, obviously there are other aspects of it. People want People share knowledge, people share historical facts, books, book recommendations, even all that snippet posting and stuff. All that's fine, but eventually we're coming for ideological answers, right? We want change, which is going to come through political transformation, which is dependent on ideological progress, right? We need to have certain clear fundamental idea of what our ideology is, what their ideology is, and how do those two differ, and why ours is more efficient, better, is going to help us long term, right? Fight people who want to you know create a worse world for your kids, or people who want to destroy your ancestors, whatever your ancestors have built and left for you, right? People who want to take that away from you, right? We are trying to propagate an ideology like that, which really fights against that, which protects us. I think that is the purpose. I think that is the purpose, to have that ideological clarity. And I'm not saying that I am some messiah who knows everything, or some other Twitter handle is, or anyone like that. I'm saying we're all here together. We're discussing things. We're having these podcast episodes, videos, Twitter threads, to and fro conversations, people from different states, different ethnic groups, different castes, sometimes, sampradayas which almost are like different religions if you ask some of the faithful. So there are a lot of differences, right? I don't know if there'll be, like, 100% agreement on all these ideological points and ideological objectives which we want to achieve, right? But at least, like, we can get the fundamentals clear. We can at least make sure that, unlike the other side, we do have, if we are saying that we want a Hindu rashtra or a Hindu constitution or whatever it might be, we have a real definition for that. We have a clear cut framework. Okay, this Hindu rashtra means that Hindus will be treated as first class citizens. Hinduism will become, in this, or orthodox understanding, will become the state religion, or whatever it might be, right? At least there has to be something concrete which you're promising. I don't see how we can really expect to convince people, even though other people have succeeded in doing that, by just making vague promises. I think that's really where dissidents can set out to differentiate themselves from the mainstream, right? Laying down concrete ideas, laying down concrete objectives, and making sure that, people are able to really believe in some ideology again, right? Once, twice, thrice you're betrayed by, all these ideologues and big talking politicians. Are you really going to, trust the next guy who's offering change and transformation, all of that? No. You're going to be this another bastard promising Vishwaguru delusions, and he's going to waste my time and take my money, right? So this is where a lot of people are right now, and we need to really make sure we can change that, right? I know it all sounds very idealistic and everything, but, I just feel this is the bare minimum, right? I'm not saying we will all of a sudden have such a strong ideological force with us and such mass support that we'll tomorrow, have 400 seats in the parliament, and, have like this grand 1,000-year government which is going to transform everything and take us to, like a new zenith of Hindu civilization. I'm not promising any of that. I'm just saying that, at least tell people what you want to achieve. Give them a framework, tell them what your objectives are, right? We need to figure out, that that is the purpose, right? If you're not even able to do that, then I think we're all just, really wasting our time. We're having these endless pointless discussions, rhetoric getting thrown here and there. If we can't come up with that framework, then nothing's really going to change. It'll just be an endless cycle of, people bragging about 120, 130, 140 IQ or whatever, and spewing all sorts of copy pasted nonsense on these social media websites. So yeah, guys, as I promised, I'll keep this short. So let's just act with a sense of purpose. Try and figure out these objectives. Try and really have these concrete discussions. You know, build that, right. Unless we build that ideology, and no, I don't think like one person can really do that alone. I used to think maybe I could like do it alone, all on my own. I don't think so now. You need polymaths, you need ideologues, you need philosophers, you need, people from a scientific background, people from a technical background, people from a religious, strong theological background, who really understand what's written down in the scriptures, right. You need all these sorts of people to really, tell us what the truth is kind of going to look like, right. Because at the end of the day, otherwise you'll just be following another, false messiah, another, some guy comes and he says, okay, fascism is the best. Then another guy says, then no, communism, marxism is the best, right. And all of those things have major problems, major flaws. Tens of millions of people die for nothing. We don't want that. We want more concrete things, and we can do that. We can build those ideologies. I mean, we can build that ideology, we can build those ideas, right. I think that's what we need to really work towards. So thank you, guys. I hope you have a great day, and yeah, bye bye.